So this week, I thought that we could talk about branding. Initially, we were thinking about talking about personal branding, but I thought that it would be a good idea to start off with a more like generalized idea and then get specific. So next week, I think we'll sort of take it a step further and start talking about personal branding, because that's something that we do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so this week we're starting off with talking about brands and how they use LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we've got some like interesting examples. And this week we've got examples from pretty much like all over the world. So we haven't like restricted ourselves to sort of like picking stuff from just New Zealand.
Awesome. Always great to have those kind of examples of what people are getting up to.
So let's start off with the first one.
So this post is by the female lead, and it says, in quotation, 20 things that women should stop wearing after the age of 30. 1 to 20, the weight of other people's expectations and judgments. Oh, that's it. Cool. And then she's just had that. It's obviously a tweet that they've shared with the photo as well. Cool. Can you tell me a bit more about the female lead?
Yeah, so this is a page that I've been following on LinkedIn and Instagram for a while. Mm-hmm. And they just sort of post like inspirational quotes and stuff, sometimes funny stuff. And it's... I mean, the idea behind it is kind of like, you know, sort of encouraging women to be themselves and do their best. Yeah. And I think it's a pretty, like, even though it sounds really cliche that, you know, like 20 things that women should start wearing after 30 is like the weight of other people's expectations. But I mean, it's still a feel good post.
Oh, for sure. It's creating, like, in terms of their brand, it tells you straight away what their philosophy is, right? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Like, it tells you what kind of content they share and what kind of a page they are. So even if you don't really follow them, you still kind of be able to figure out, like, what their vibe is.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. And like that's that sort of difference between personal branding and just branding in general. This is a very like general, open to all rather than just the one story from a person.
Yeah, I agree.
That's awesome. And you picked ones that had quite a big following as well this time around.
Oh yeah. This page has what, like
2,000, almost 3,000. Oh, 3 million.
3 million followers. So that kind of tells you like the impact that it has.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Even something as simple as this would like reach a lot of people, which it has. It has like about like 86,000 likes.
Yeah,
and a lot of engagement as well in the comments.
I think it's cool because they've shared it from someone else. Like this is obviously, you know, that screenshot from the Twitter feed, but they've used it to their advantage because it's something that they're about. And I could imagine, I haven't explored them before, but if you said they post quotes and stuff, it's probably they have collated from different people.
Yeah, they do. So a lot of the stuff that they share are tweets and stuff from inspirational like female leaders, or you know, like even business women, or just something, basically anyone who sort of works in the field of like empowering women. Yeah.
No, that's cool. That's a great first example. Short and snappy as well, which is always good.
That's what I liked about it. Yeah, it wasn't like too preachy.
Yeah,
and also like gave an idea of the brand's philosophy and all of that, so which is pretty great. The second one we have is from Zamato, and I've been wanting to use them as an example somewhere because the content that they share across all of their social media platforms is pretty great. Because I love the fact that they tend to pick up on really relevant stuff. So even though sometimes like for this you'd need context and reference, but even then it's still funny. So this post, like it's a tweet that they shared, and it says, guys, it's tomato. So in India, like you would pronounce... So yeah, it basically says that it's tomato whose prices are rising. Please don't write a 1-star review for us. Yeah, because it's a play on words, right? Like Zamato, tomato.
Yeah. So explain what Zamato does? Because who are they?
So Zamato, they are a food aggregator business, and basically in India they do food deliveries amongst other things. So they started off as just like a small company, a website where they would collate menus from all over the city.
Yeah.
And initially it started with Delhi, and they would just collect all the menus, put them up on their website. So if you sort of wanted to look up a particular restaurant, or even like the best thing was that they put up menus from like takeaways and stuff, which you normally wouldn't get to see, right?
Yeah.
So you could go onto their website, look up the place, and you'd be able to see the menu. Yeah. And then they started with like food deliveries. So the thing with Zamato is like when they do food deliveries in India, you can leave them a review, like you can leave the driver a review. And so I think it's just a play on words, like because things are getting expensive in India, and they're like, it's a tomato that's expensive, not Zamato. Yeah. So leave us a 1-star review.
Yeah, for sure. I love that it's such like, because obviously they'd have such a big following just because of what they are and what they do.
Yeah.
And so being able to put the humour, but with also this like current, it's not really a current event, but that sort of current, a tomato is so expensive right now.
Yeah.
Adding that humour and makes it relatable to so many different people.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm pretty sure like they shared it across like all of their social media platforms. So it's reaching like a like a variety of audience.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that subtle, just like you see something like this and then you're like, oh, do you know what? I'm going to go and get my like is it sort of like Uber Eats kind of thing? Like, I'm going to go order my Zamato now because like I had a good chuckle at their post, they've done it really well.
Yeah. And I think like the good thing about them is the way they use social media to sort of promote their brand, it kind of reminds me of Coke.
Yeah.
Because if you see like Coke since the 70s pretty much has never really sold Coke or advertised Coke.
Yeah.
They've advertised happiness.
Yeah, that's very
Or like
true.
even Cadbury, right? Cadbury's advertise like moments and memories.
Yeah, it feels like the Coke or the chocolate is the byproduct of your lifestyle, you know? It's like it's not like straight, like it's not just directed to buy this. It's always people like swimming or surfing or having a fun time or like
it's always about like Christmas or summer and stuff like that.
And then it's just nicely placed in the corner of the ad with that great colouring and everything.
So like you tend to just like start associating Coke with happiness,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And it's the same with Zamato. Like I felt the same way about their advertising or like the way they use their the social media to sort of like promote their brand. They never talk about like food delivery directly. It's always about like other stuff. Current affairs, politics, but they always put like a humorous spin on it.
Yeah. Do you know what I love? And I've just noticed what they do as well. And this is something big that me, you and Krupa have been working on now that we're doing a little bit more of brands as well. Especially when I started on, me and Krupa had a project that we were doing, and it was to personalize a brand. So it was laptops, so to personalize them. And this is sort of similar because, I mean, they're like, they're talking about we might be like as a company, but it still feels like Zamato is a thing, like it's talking to you from that point of view. And I think that that's one of the best ways, especially on social media, to be able to relate your brand to people. Because it's so hard to be like, talking from the point of view of a laptop unless it is actually like personalizing it.
I agree. Like with them, that's another thing. I completely agree with you. That's another thing that I really like about Zamato as well. The fact that when you read their posts, you don't automatically think that it's
a product.
It's a product, or it's even like a social media manager sort of like posting these things. You never think of it that way. You always think of it like as this is like Zamato is a person in itself.
Yeah. It does feel like that. Yeah. That's great. I think that's one of the best things that you can do for your brand on social media, to create their own persona and to make it feel like, because then it's not salesy. It's just, especially with something like this, I mean, you're not going to be selling as a sales process, right? Or like with a funnel or anything, because it's a service, it's almost a service. And so being able to like lightly just mention things and drop things in and feel like you're a person that's tweeting or something.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just kind of like to give you that gentle reminder that Zamato's there and that it exists. So it just stays in like at the back of your mind.
Yeah. No, awesome.
Yeah, I think it's pretty great. I think like this is completely unrelated though, and this is something that Stan and I spoke about like 2 weeks ago as well. Another brand that's doing this, not on LinkedIn, but on TikTok, is Duolingo.
That's right. Yeah, you need to talk to the people about that. That is so fun.
I think it's been one of the best marketing campaigns in like decades.
Basically, they've just let her go crazy on TikTok.
So they've hired like this new social media manager, and she's unhinged. Like they've just let her loose. Like she can do whatever she wants, and she makes these TikToks where she puts on the costume. like the owl costume, like the mascot costume.
Yeah.
And she just like goes around making TikToks all day long at the office. Why that's funny or what? Basically, she's been able to pick on like the nerve. Mm-hmm. To give you a bit of context, so Duolingo is known for the fact that it just sends you incessant notifications.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
If you don't respond to them on the app, it'll send you emails.
Yeah.
And it'll send you emails like, oh, you've made Duo so sad. And there'll be like a picture of like Duo, the owl, crying because you haven't done your daily lessons.
Just fully guilt tripping you.
Literally.
Yeah.
So, and I think it led to a lot of people deleting the app off of their phones. And just since the time that they've hired her, and if you see like the interactions on TikTok, because she actually makes an effort of replying to people.
Yeah, that's so important.
So she's picked up on that, and there are people commenting like as a joke, and they're saying like, "Oh, Duo, I've done my lesson for today. Can you like let my family go?" Yeah, and she'll respond saying like, "Oh, I'll see about that."
Yeah, that's so funny. And she did one about like being their the lawyer of Duolingo or something.
Duolingo's lawyer, and where she's just posting shit all day long.
It's so funny. Yeah, and so that comes back to like that whole thing that it's like it's not necessarily like their brand guidelines or like how they view themselves, but it's always in your head and like it pops up.
It's constantly in your head. Like I think she compelled me to pretty much like download the app again and like start learning a language. Yeah, I mean, how great is that?
Mm-hmm. She's like done her job. If she's done her job, and it's hilarious because it's just such a different approach. Like most people, like this is a big business. This could be like considered like a very like corporate like situation with this app. But she's taken it down like this crazy. And when we're talking unhinged as in like we've got her like twerking on there, like there's a whole bunch of different things.
It's pretty
so
great.
Funny.
I love it. And if you guys want to check her out, her name's Zaria Pervez. She's on LinkedIn as the social media coordinator and for Duolingo, and I think her bio is pretty funny as well. It says, "I'm the Duolingo owl. Catch me on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter."
It's so funny.
Like I think that's how famous she is. Like she doesn't even need to write anything more than that. It's just the funniest thing.
Love that she's just been able to be given free reign. Like it's
hilarious.
Cool.
Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah.
So the next one is an article by Newsweek. Would you like to talk about it more?
Sure, yeah. So this one says, in an exclusive interview with Newsweek, pop star Maisie reveals how Spotify enabled her to drop out of university and how the Unwrapped campaign benefits indie artists. So this is very relevant for right now. Have you seen yours yet?
Yeah, I saw mine. It was absolute crap. Like apart from the top artist, which I think was fair because it was BDS, but the rest of it was just like shit.
Yeah, that's so funny. I was like saying to you when we went for lunch, like I've changed so much this year and my Spotify is exactly the same. Okay, this is,
I mean, so just like putting it out there, my second top artist was like Taylor Swift, and I heard one song, and I don't even like her music.
What they
don't
all
come
say.
at me, but I don't like her music. I heard one song of hers for like 2 days.
But like that's a long 2 days.
And now she's my second top artist. Like that's bullshit. No, she's not.
Oh, that is so funny. So anyway, so basically she's talking about here how it's helped her. And so this is almost a little bit of a personal brand post, really. Yeah. I mean, what it is that it's an article based on her that Newsweek has published. And so it's, do you want to sort of explain a bit more about why you picked it?
Why this kind of interested me was, one, that it is kind of like a personal brand post, but also the fact that they mentioned something as specific as Spotify Wrapped. And kind of, I think it's like sort of like underhanded like branding for Spotify Wrapped as well, just to let people know that it's out. Yeah. Like I think all of us who use Spotify must have seen it today.
I didn't even think about that. I mean, obviously this
came out today. Yeah. So it kind of is like, it's like 3 hours old, right? So the fact that Spotify Wrapped came out today and this was like the best time to post this so that people would go on Spotify and check that, let me go check my Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah, this is a very clever sort of, like, I love the whole idea of like, they've done this interview, they've planned it, and then they've released it right at the right time for this. But they've done it in such a cool way. Like, this is just an article about an artist. Right? It's nothing to do with, like, go and listen to yours now. It's just, like, that whole subconscious branding as well,
right? Like, it's just letting you know that Spotify Wrapped is out. And, like, also the fact that, yes, it's a feature on an artist, but it's also then like a PR post on Spotify.
Yeah, it's like the best of both worlds as well. Because I mean, Spotify Wrapped is something that people have now become fully accepted as our culture.
It's a part of our culture now.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a joke, but it's also a part of our culture now. Like there have been like, I've seen at least like 3 memes since the morning talking about like how no one's interested in seeing anyone else's Spotify Wrapped.
And Instagram just gets saturated. Yeah. No, but it's good because it's like that hand-in-hand thing, right? She's got this interview at the perfect time for her career, you know? And then like Spotify get to, you know, show a new artist. And it's also like, you know, dropped out of uni, that whole like, that's, you know, the dream kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
you know? So it's nice.
So, like she was able to do something with her life, even though she didn't like pursue her education. I think very clever post. Definitely.
I think this is the perfect example of timing, you know, like planning and timing.
So I'm sure they must have done it like ages ago, but the fact that they released it today itself when Spotify Wrapped was released. Very clever.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Oh, this one looks interesting.
So this has been shared by D&AD. It's a design company in London. And it's basically just like an animated short. And the subject of the short is that they're talking about certain issues that kids deal with. And this is sort of like a behind the scenes look at it. And it's a bit of a sensitive topic, but I think it's just like sort of like a great platform for them to use to promote something like this, because they haven't really focused on talking about the issue itself, but just the fact that how much work has gone into it and what they've done with it.
Yeah, just in terms of like the art, because, you know, I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. Just like the way that they've planned it, as in like this is an animation with that real like sort of clay like style,
kind of like
Wallace and Gromit kind of thing.
Like a stop motion.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And that's like a very commonly used technique in children's cartoons. And so it's like this whole juxtaposition of this children's cartoon. So, you know, it would appeal to a child, but it's for an adult because it is about that sort of, you know, that hard topic. So I really just love the way that they've like sort of gone hand in hand. Because if this was a short film with like using real life or something, it wouldn't have the same effect. Because you wouldn't associate it as much with children. You know?
I agree. I think also the fact that, you know, how last week I think we also spoke about how artists can use LinkedIn as a platform for promotion. So this like D&AD being a design company, using like, of course, being a design company, they're creatives, and the fact that they're using LinkedIn and it's working for them as well, because the post has done well. It's about a sensitive issue, but also the fact that they're sort of like, they have this platform where they can display their art. I think if they had shared it on a platform like Instagram or Facebook, there is a good chance that it would have gone unnoticed.
It's just now that it's out there, that's something that we can, you know, see and associate, that they could continue to do this kind of thing for more businesses and business owners.
So this has been shared by Sarah Blakely, and she's basically just talking about how she's like so proud of the fact that she's been featured on there, and then she sort of talks about like women empowerment as well, and she says, ladies, you don't have to sacrifice your personality, your values, or even your favorite color to become a business success. Don't be afraid to do it your way, or wear pink on the cover of a business magazine.
So she Spanx as in like the undies that suck in. Right, okay, I get it now. I think that that's great, because that's just like, so, I mean, you know, talking from this real like womanly empowered point of view, and in turn, like some people would consider Spanx like, I'm insecure, I need to wear them kind of thing. And so I think that's really great in terms of her being the person that is marketing, you know, Spanx, you know. It's
I think it's a pretty cool post, like and it's pretty like inspirational as well. Like she's written, it's a dream come true for this terrible test taker who failed LSAT twice and had her childhood dreams of becoming a lawyer derailed. If I could have only whispered in her ear, she cried in her pillow, hang tight, life's plan for you is bigger than you were aiming for. And you will one day be on the cover of Fortune magazine. I would have, definitely stopped crying. So anyone out there feeling like their own dreams have been derailed, hang in there. You just may not be dreaming big enough. But this moment isn't just about dreaming big. It's about women redefining what success can look like. It's so exciting to share this moment with Whitney Wolfe Herd, and I'm so sorry. I will butcher the surname, so I will not pronounce it. Two women I greatly admire. So yeah, it's talking a lot about like, she's mentioning her brand again, very like subconscious branding. She's not directly talking about it, but she's talking about the fact that she's created a really successful brand and it's done well and it's gotten her to the cover of Fortune magazine.
Yeah, she's done that classic storytelling in a post. You know, she's explained to us how she used to feel about, you know, her career or life in general.
Yeah.
And then just wrapped it up with like this proof that, you know, she's gotten over it and she's done it, which is amazing.
You can do like whatever you want to do.
Yeah, these stories are always so inspiring, because I was actually talking to someone the other day who I was interviewing for a completely different thing, but he was talking about how we see these people like blow up on Instagram and we think, oh my goodness, like you like made it, how did you make it within 2 weeks? And he's like, he makes t-shirts, and he was like, I've been making t-shirts for 10 years, and the past 2 years of those people have actually bought them, you know? So it's like you don't know that big backstory behind a person's success, because that's not the things that they choose to show you. And if they do choose to show you, there's not enough people watching it anyway. So yeah, it's definitely that. I love like a good started from the bottom, now we're here story. You know?
Same.
Yeah,
that was good. So what do you think?
Yeah, well, I think they're all very good examples of branding in general. I mean, I love talking about this kind of thing because there's not really any right or wrong. It's really, I mean, it's not separate to personal branding, but it's very personal to the brand, how you choose to come about. And like from, you know, freaking like Duolingo to like, you know, this woman who, like the female lead who posts like really inspiring things. It's very like specific for how they want to be portrayed. And it works for them. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, you're absolutely right about the fact that the way a brand sort of promotes themselves on LinkedIn or any other social media platform is personal to that brand. And they kind of like, there's no right or wrong way of doing it. Yes, there are methods and there are frameworks that they can stick to, and they do stick to, but it's also about sort of like figuring out what's best for them.
Yeah. It's sort of figuring out what your values as a brand are, who you want to be marketing towards. You know, it would be inappropriate for the female lead to market the way that Duolingo does because of their target audience.
Absolutely.
So it's thinking about these different things and what's the best way to be able to put yourself out there to the right kind of people, the right people that you want to view your brand.
Absolutely. I think also the fact that sometimes a brand can be more direct in terms of their branding and advertising, and I think that works sometimes. It's a great way for a lot of brands to like sell their products or services, but the examples that we picked, they are very like subtle forms of branding. The brands are not trying to shove information down your throat.
Which on LinkedIn is perfect, relating that back to what we're actually talking about. I mean, there's a time and a place to be a really salesy brand, but LinkedIn, absolutely not. It's still that social media platform where people want to be able to engage with the person, not the not feel like they need to buy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we already have enough of that, right? Like with Instagram turning into like a shopping mall, and like Facebook was already there a few years ago. So
it's going to take a long time before LinkedIn accepts that, if ever, you know, with the kind of structure.
I think LinkedIn still got a bit of that like professional, personal, like it's just sort of like trying to find the balance between the two. And like we've talked about it enough already in our past episodes, but LinkedIn's still getting, it's sort of like shifting towards the more like personal, inspirational kind of stuff.
It's the journey of the people and the network that you build.
And it's still, I think that's what makes it a pretty great platform for personal branding.
Cool. So that's a great segue into what we can talk about next time. I definitely think we'll dive more into that.
Definitely. I think we'll spend the next week sort of like looking for great examples of like personal branding on LinkedIn and how they work for how it works for people.
Awesome. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. This is a good one with the new setup.
I like it. I'm really enjoying this. It's pretty comfortable as well with this like the couch. It is
comfortable. And now Stanley's making us post these on YouTube, so you can look at them on YouTube as well, which is excellent. We're just Taz all over.
I can't believe I have to like wear makeup with this.
Exactly. Okay, awesome. Well, we'll see you next week.
Yeah.